The wind howled across the empty fields, blowing snow in furious swirls as Daniel Grayson tightened the threadbare scarf around his neck. He shoved his hands deeper into the frayed pockets of his coat, boots crunching over the icy crust of the snow. His breath came out in thick clouds, white against the endless gray of the winter morning. He hadn't meant to be out this far, but his old pickup had given up halfway to town, and he couldn't afford another tow. So he walked. He had just finished a 12-hour night shift at the factory, welding until his fingers were numb and his shoulders burned, but there was no time to rest. Groceries were low. His 7-year-old son, Max, had outgrown all his warm clothes. And Christmas was coming, though Daniel didn't have much hope of putting anything under the tree this year. Not that there was a tree. He trudged through the snow, each step slower than the last. As he neared the edge of the small, frozen lake that marked the halfway point to town, he paused to catch his breath. That's when he heard it. A scream, thin, high, and terrified, then abruptly cut off. Daniel turned toward the sound. At first, he saw nothing but white. Then, maybe 100 yards out on the ice, something moved. A flailing hand. A head. Then silence. Help! He shouted, sprinting toward the lake before his brain could catch up with his legs. The ice groaned beneath his boots as he reached the shore. He dropped to his knees, crawling forward, spreading his weight, praying it would hold. There, a hole. Jagged. A girl, no more than 16, clinging to the edge, her blue lips barely above the water. Her fingers scrabbled on the slick surface. Her eyes met his, full of sheer panic. "I've got you," he called, inching forward. The ice cracked. "Don't let go," she gasped, teeth chattering violently. "I won't," he said, lying flat now, reaching out his arms. Her hands were turning purple. He grasped them, bracing his body against the frozen lake, and with a roar of effort, pulled her from the water. She collapsed into his arms, shaking uncontrollably, skin like ice. Her breath came in ragged sobs. "It's okay," he murmured, wrapping his coat around her. "You're safe now." She didn't respond, she was slipping into unconsciousness. Daniel didn't think twice. He carried her in his arms, boots pounding the snow, lungs burning as he made his way back to the road. A stranger passed in a delivery truck, thank God, and helped rush them to the nearest hospital. The girl survived. For a week, Daniel didn't hear from her again. He didn't expect to. He figured she'd go home, and that would be that. Until a black SUV pulled into his driveway. He opened the front door, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Max peeked from behind his legs. The girl stepped out of the SUV. No longer half frozen, she was stunning, tall, elegant, dressed in an expensive wool coat. But her eyes were the same, warm, grateful. "I never got to thank you properly," she said softly. "You don't need to," Daniel said. "Anyone would have done the same." She smiled. "I'm not sure that's true. But I'm glad you did. My name is Elise Whitmore." Daniel froze. That name, it rang a bell. Then it hit him. Whitmore Industries. One of the largest tech companies in the world. Elise Whitmore was the daughter of Arthur Whitmore, the late Billionaire CEO. And if he remembered right, Elise had recently inherited everything. She was now one of the youngest billionaires on the planet. "I just wanted to talk," she said, sensing his shock. They talked. On his porch, drinking black coffee out of mismatched mugs. She asked about Max. About his life. He answered, a little embarrassed, but honest. He told her about the factory, the old truck, the sleepless nights. She listened, her expression unreadable. Then she left. Daniel figured that was it. A thank you visit from a grateful billionaire, and back to the grind of his life. But 2 days later, his landlord knocked with wide eyes. "Your rent," he said, holding up an envelope. "Paid. Entire year." The next week, the factory foreman told Daniel he'd been contacted by an investor who'd paid to keep the business open and fund raises for all employees, including him. Then, a brand new Ford truck appeared in his driveway with a red bow and a note, "For getting me out of the cold. Now let me return the favor, Elise." He couldn't believe it. None of it made sense. But it didn't stop there. She came again. This time, with plans. "I want to invest in something here," she said, stepping into his modest living room. "This town's forgotten. There's good people here. Like you." "I'm just a welder," he said quietly. "You're a hero," she replied. "And heroes deserve a second chance." She offered him a partnership, to help build a community outreach center, to train young people in trade skills, to give jobs to struggling families. She asked him to run it, to help shape it, to be its face. I don't know if I'm the right person, he said. I do, she answered. The months passed. Daniel found himself standing in front of a crowd at the grand opening of the Whitmore Grayson Community Center. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. But his eyes searched for only one face, Max, sitting in the front row, beaming with pride. Elise stood beside him. He glanced at her, heart pounding. Somewhere along the way, she'd become more than just the girl he saved. She'd become family. Later that night, as the snow fell softly and the building glowed with holiday lights, Elise knelt beside Max by the fireplace. You know, she said, your dad saved my life. I think that makes him a superhero. Max looked up. He's always been mine. Daniel turned away, his eyes wet. It was true. He had struggled. He had almost given up. But one cold morning, everything changed, because he didn't hesitate to dive into freezing water. And the girl he pulled out. She pulled him right back into life.